Hello, welcome back to my channel. If you're new here, I'm Ilsa, mama of 6, currently homeschooling my 3 younger children, 13, 4, and 2. And this is a recap of October, how our October has gone. And I cannot believe we are starting a new month. It's a new season. I mean, time is just going so quickly. So October was a pretty good month for us. We had amazing spring-like weather and then fall weather. We were able to take some camping trips and not feeling like we were falling behind. We did travel school, we did nature study, we had all the fun things going on, and it just feels so freeing. So we're just gonna talk about a little bit of what we got through, because every month I make a list of our goals and things that I would like us to achieve in different levels because of my 2, 4, and 13-year-old. And October was pretty smooth. We did more of a lot more of like laid back, kind of chill. We did have 1 week off from our co-op group, Classical Conversation. We did a big field trip to Philly. That was also fun. A lot of learning and traveling, and I love when they go hand in hand. So if you've watched any of my other videos on books that I was reading with my 4-year-old, or books that my 13 and I were going to be reading together as read-alouds, and then writing and debating about it and just having conversation about the book. So we are currently reading God's Smuggler, and I shared this in my last video. I spoke a little bit about it. So I am currently enjoying this book, but only on chapter 3, because my son and I are really digging into it. We're diving in. We want to know more. We're doing the research. So we're going back and forth. So we try to do a chapter read aloud together, and if we're not able to, he'll read his chapter, I'll go back and I'll read the same chapter, and we kind of discuss it. And then I have him writing a paragraph in detail on each chapter. So he's wrote 3 paragraphs based off each chapter that he's read, and it's going really well. So we're going really slow with this book, but there is no rush. We're enjoying it. It's really good for teenage boys. I mean, God's Smuggler, it talks a lot about what went on when this man was trying to smuggle Bibles into places that it was illegal, which is so interesting. So God Smuggler, I recommend this book for teenage boys or even adults who are interested in the story. We read The Hiding Place. So we read through The Hiding Place. We also did this together as a read aloud because I had never read it. It was a great story based on true facts, and my son really enjoyed it. So he did an essay on this. We did a read aloud, and it was really good. So we're done with her, and then he has 2 books that he has to go into doing for his co-op group, Classical Conversation, that they do as a group when they go there once a week. And for math, language arts, he is doing so well academically. Did a few camping trips, and then my son also did a solo camping trip with his father. So they did a lot of hiking. They went to the Catskills. He did some foraging. He's really into learning the different types of plants and mushrooms and things like that. So he did a lot of foraging. He wrote down some notes. I told him to write out a essay or paragraph just to tell me about it. I don't know anything about it. So in detail, explain what you've learned, what you've seen, what they do, all the things. And he's an amazing writer, so it's going really well. And I've learned that if you give a child a writing assignment based off something that they like to do, they don't give you a problem. It is not a hassle. They kind of just go with it because they want to share all the information that they're learning. So that's going really well. I also shared the big book of science stories for little ones, and I love this book. We are taking our sweet time with this book because we want to relate it to what we're doing. So there were some insect stories in here that we took along camping. There was a camping story in here that was talking about the nature part of it. So we've been diving into that, and my older son has really been enjoying sitting down and doing some kind of art craft with his little brothers because he's really into nature and insects. So it's super helpful to me that my older son can read through this and then dissect each part and draw the anatomy of a frog or a worm and everything like that. And they sit and they do that together. And because they're doing this book together, and we just started this in October, so it's a new thing. We're kind of seeing how it goes. The little ones are really reacting really well. This is a sketchbook that I bought for my little one because I want him to start, since he's not writing yet on his own, I want him to be able to put into pictures what he's learning, what he's hearing being read, and he's doing really well. So this was an ant, the ant anatomy. So my older son took the ant anatomy, and he drew it out on our whiteboard. And then as he was reading, my younger son went into detail and he drew the ant anatomy and the ant farm and stuff like that. So we have the sketchbook, and this is just his sketchbook, so that when he's being read aloud too, he can put out what he remembers and what he sees. And it's just good for memory. And because he's not yet a writer, he's able to put out what he's learning, and I know that he's grasping and understanding it. So he's done also an image, a picture here when he was learning about Christopher Columbus and the Native Americans. There's a collage there. So art is a good way to help little ones express themselves and how it helps them learn. So if you give a young child some glue and crayons or paper, color pencils, whatever, and as you're reading, ask them to draw what they hear, and it helps them express and remember. It's great for memory, and it's been working so well for us. So we're doing that, read alouds, and he's allowed to sit there and sketch. My 2-year-old does the same thing, but it's only so much that he's going to sit there with a pen and paper. They have a different attention span. We also completed our stop and go devotionals. My 4.5-year-old he has memorized a few verses because of reading stop and go devotionals. So this book has been so great. I did link it in my last video. I got it on Amazon. It was probably about $6. Really great book for little ones. Started tin whistle. So this is something that we are starting with our classical conversation co-op group. It is the first instrument that they're going to learn to use or just get some memory work in. So I have one for my 2-year-old and one for my 4-year-old. And it is super fun, but definitely need your earplugs. So this is what they've been doing. This is great to just exercise their memory and their mind and learning just little notes. Not that they're gonna be professional players, but just whole. We did it. We usually do it once a month where I get a bunch of books and I keep them and I read throughout the month all the books. I let the boys pick a lot of books. So here we have 20 books. This will not last us the whole month of November, but I'm hoping that we get through it at a good pace. I don't want to rush because we still do a lot of reading from our language arts curriculum. We do a lot of reading from my younger son that has numbers and the alphabet and colors and things like that. So these are just books that we'll read reading time. We do rest time where we pull out a book, or right before bed they do some reading. Reading aloud to your little ones is so beneficial. My sons, I've done more reading with them as they're younger than I did with my older kids, and I could see the difference. I could see the love for reading. I could see the love for books. I could see that it has made a big impact. So we go to the library once a month. There are times we go a little bit more just to give them a choice to go grab a book or see what's happening, or we want to see something different. But right now, these are 20 books. There are #1 books in here, pre-readers, and these are all library books. You don't have to go and buy a bunch of books, spend money on books. That can be a lot for some people, where buying books can be very costly. I mean, they're beautiful to have, but if you don't need all the books, rent them from the library. So we got pre-readers, we have books for Thanksgiving, for fall season, that we'll be diving into that. We also have the frog here that my son's going to be doing the anatomy of the frog, because my kids are really interested in insects and bugs and creatures and all the things. So it's fun that my older son is also, because they have that in common, even though they're 4 and 13, big age difference. And then my little guy will just pick out a book and we read that every day. So I usually have a theme when I go to the library. So October, we didn't do spooky season, but we did change of season, change of weather, changing leaves, falling leaves, all the things like that. Now come for this month, November, we did get a few fall books. We got a few books that are based on thankfulness, Thanksgiving, what you're grateful for, and we'll be doing that for the month of November, focusing on that. And there are some books in here that are going to then go into the winter season, just talking about the change of season again and the winter, because they're little. And we did have 2 camping trips in the month of October. We went to the Catskills. We experienced hiking and just watching the beautiful trees and the birds and the change of the season high up in the mountains. We did some hiking. We did some sleeping in a tent in freezing cold rain weather, but it was a great experience. And we did take our curriculum with us. The boys were out there getting their hands dirty while still learning their words and picking up with their language arts. We did a lot of math with picking up sticks and leaves and things. There's so much learning happening through play that never believe that you're not teaching your child just because you're playing, just because you're out in the woods. You are constantly teaching your child. They have questions. We are going to be creating a wonder wall, and I will share that here a little bit more later on. My plan is to create that for the month of November. I am going to be making a list that I want to check off for this month just to kind of stay on track. Because we also, at the end of the month, want to go into a Advent calendar. So I don't want to bombard us with so much. The boys have completed their Bible study with Not Consume Ministries. They've been doing that with their father 1 to 2 times a week. I thought I had it, but I don't, but it's been going really well. We're reading our Bible in the morning time. And so there wasn't too much change happening in October other than the fact that we did take some trips. We did have a few field trips where because we are studying American history. So we went to Philadelphia, we went to the Benjamin Franklin Museum. They had hands-on experience. They ate some Philly cheesesteaks. So it's been going really smooth. October was a great month. I'm hoping that November is smooth and that is filled with so many fun things. We have a few field trips planned for this month. And I want the boys to be focused on thankfulness and the true meaning of Thanksgiving and why we come together and we create this tradition, and just showing some gratitude. So I'm trying to get my 13-year-old son, to do some volunteer work, and see how that goes. And for all the parents out there, for the mamas, this book has been super helpful. It is called Hold On to Your Kids. So in the beginning of my homeschool journey, I had a lot of questions and I was undecided and didn't know if I was going to keep moving forward. And we are now into our second year of homeschooling, and I'm truly grateful, even on the hard days, because there are hard days. But when you surround yourself with good reading books, good reads, mamas with wisdom, it's so helpful. So if you have not already read this book, read this book. And I will be sharing some more books that have been so helpful and inspirational in my homeschooling life, my motherhood. So I hope that was helpful. I'll be doing another recap video at the end of November. Thank you for watching.